Hey, welcome back to Tuesday afternoon.
Recording? Okay. Hi everybody, it is Tuesday and welcome back. I'm glad to see everybody here, because I can most definitely see you. I'm sorry, I get really nervous sometimes, but I wanted to show you a height comparison of our lovely Circus baby, and we know she's just so well behaved. Right. Alright, so here we go. We're going to need polymer clay and some aluminum foil. We're going to roll that into a ball, and this is what we're going to use to make Circus baby's head. I'm going to cover that in a thin layer of polymer clay, and I'm going to start building the features onto the head. This area is her cheek segment, and you can see the ridge here. It's not a very big ridge, but it's just the amount you need. I'm going to build up this part of her face right here because it sticks out a little bit, and then we're going to work into the mouth area. I'm going to draw it out first, and then I'm going to cut it out with an X-Acto knife. I went ahead and sculpted one side of the head so you could follow along easier. Next we're going to add on the cheeks, and remember that the cheek goes down into the mouth just a little bit. And now we're going to move on to the eye area and her brow area. I'm just going to circle out where the eye goes. Once you get the brow segment done where it comes apart, you might want to decide that you just want to sculpt the eye in. I made it so it comes apart, so I won't be sculpting the eyes until later, but it's really up to you. I'm going to go ahead and start to shape the sides of the head where the mask comes apart, and just pay attention to the character model when you're doing this part because it is uniquely shaped and you want it to come apart correctly. Next we're going to move on to the center of the face, and if you have a little bit of problem with this, that's okay. When you put it in the oven, you could just resculpt these areas. Don't really worry about it. If it doesn't turn out well, you can just resculpt it later. I want to add, if you decide to keep this as one piece, make sure that you make the lines very gapped because you'll need to paint into those areas to make it look like it actually comes apart. Next, we're going to put on the nose, and I'm just going to cut it right down the center so it can come apart. And I'm pretty happy with this. I'm going to add where the pigtails go, and then I'm going to make a hole in it so I can feed the wire through. Another important part is to add the hole where the neck will be. Once you're happy with that, go ahead and stick it in the oven for the amount of time it has on the back of the box. Just follow the instructions and everything should be fine. Here I went ahead and removed the aluminum foil, and I made the head of the endoskeleton, and I'm pretty happy with it. It's made out of wire and metal and a little bit of Bristol paper, but the main thing was I wanted the eyes to move and I wanted the jaw to be able to move, and I really wanted to pay attention to those little small details that I noticed in the character model, and I think it turned out pretty good. Here I'm painting the eyes, and I'm just going to first put on a single layer, and then I'm going to thin the center part out a little bit so you get a variation in color. Here I'm going to be adding the darker area to the bottom of the eye and pulling it up to the center. Next, we're going to do it with the other eye, and then I'm just going to add a little bit of detailing around the eye and then add the pupil in next. After you get the pupil done, you're going to want to put a little bit of a shine mark on the eye, and that's pretty good to go. I'm going to let that dry, and then I'm going to put a layer of sealant over that. Next, we're going to be painting the exterior of the animatronic, and it's pretty easy to do. Just follow these steps. To get the hair color that I used, I'm going to mix in raw umber, orange, and red, and then I'm going to apply several layers of that. I'm also going to use some chalk pastel, and I'm just going to shadow the areas just to give it a little spooky look. Here is the polyurethane that I put over the eyes, over the teeth, and the little middle part that I talked about that you could resculpt. I'm going to use some urethane polyurethane on the head. So just in case if I was sculpting and I got something on the surface, it would be easy to wipe off. Next, we're going to make the torso, and you're going to take some foil and you're going to shape it into the basic form of the torso. I'm going to cover that in some polymer clay that I've rolled out, and first I'm going to make the area where the neck is so it all kind of lines up, and it's a great point of reference. I'm going to make the chest plate, and then where the divided area for the stomach is. I went ahead and make the area where the fan is, and a very important detail is you're going to want to add a little bit of texture between the stomach portion and the chest area, because you're going to want to create the effect of wiring and metal under the surface, and if you add a little bit of texture in that area, it will go a long way to create that effect. I'm going to build up the lower torso and where the area where the legs fit into. I think that looks pretty good. Next, we're going to add a little bit of texture to the bottom part of the body, and then we're going to roll out a piece of clay and make the ruffles on the shoulders. It's really easy to do, just kind of pleat the clay and then you're going to attach it to the shoulder area. If you like my content, please like and subscribe. I would truly appreciate it. And if this video does well, then I'll make Ballora from Sister Location. I think it would be really neat. I'm making the abdominal panel where the fan is. And I was going to make this come apart, but it wasn't really feasible because of the weight of the head. Or I would have done it because I think it would have been really cool. Here I'm making the skirt, and this was the easiest way I figured out how to do it. I really wanted the skirt to have a molded look to it, like it was just manufactured. So this was the easiest way I could do it. And I'm just taking a tool and I'm making little pleats in her skirt. Next, you're going to put that in the oven. You're going to want to leave the aluminum foil to keep the shape. And don't be alarmed when you take it out and it's flexible after it's cooled down, because you want it to be that way. I took an X-Acto knife and I cut out the area where the torso would fit into it, and then I cut a slit down the back, and it makes it easier to take the skirt on and off. Once it's totally cooled down, you can paint it like here. It's pretty easy, just follow along and take any of the little tips you need as you go. Next, after this, we're going to use a little bit of chalk pastel and add a little bit of detailing and shadowing. I really want it to look like there is an endoskeleton underneath. So I'm going to go along the chest cavity and the stomach area and take a little bit of that black and gray and go in there. I'm going to take some black and kind of go into the crevices on the skirt and the little pleated part on the shoulders. I'm going to seal that and then move on to the arms and legs. And I decided to go ahead and use a little bit of foil for the arms because I needed it to be light. So it wasn't a lot of foil, but it was just enough to make it a little tiny bit light. I'm going to go ahead and sculpt all the little detailing on the arm. And just pay attention because they are located in different places, and you can see it here. Next, we're going to move on to the upper thigh area of the leg, and it's pretty easy. Just make sure it fits in there well, and you can even push the thigh up into the leg socket so you can get a general idea of how they fit together. Just smooth everything out, make it look nice, and here we are making the shoes. And I really love the shoes. I think it turned out so neat. And you're going to want to make sure that you add a little tiny ball to the end that's going to be like the bell shape. I'm going to cut this area out so the leg can fit down into it. I'm going to make a hole for the wire to fit into. And as you can see here, it looks pretty good. Don't forget to sculpt the knee area, but it was so easy I didn't think I needed to include it. Once you get it out of the oven, you can paint it, and then you're going to want to put a finish over that too. But look, it's really coming together and I really like it. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. I'm here, and I'm sure anybody in the comment section would be willing to help, so we can all work together to make some really cool sculptures. And I know I really love making Five Nights at Freddy's. Just when you're using hot glue, be very careful because, yeah, it's hot and it can burn easily. Next, I'm going to use some chalk pastel and just add some little detailing to the arms. You might have noticed that I did this little bit differently than I usually do. This was a challenging sculpture because the head comes apart to reveal the endoskeleton of Circus Baby, and I wasn't sure if I was going to make the scoop device, which later on I decided probably wasn't the best idea to do. So I wanted to make sure the head was done right. Once I got done with the head, I started on the chest, torso area. And once that kind of got done, I knew that it would look right. I wasn't sure about it. I used a wooden dowel rod for the neck, and I just used that because it stays hidden away really easily. You could use a wire, you could use something a little thicker. If you had like a pencil even, you could use that. But I just want something that's hidden away. And as you can see here, the mask moves really nice. It stays in place. I wired it, and I also had some magnets in it, and the magnets really help to stabilize it and snap it back into place. Here I'm making the hands, and it just has a little indented area at the top of the hand and on the side where the thumb is. And I'm just rolling out little balls and then these little cylinder shapes and putting little divots in each side. Here we're going to make the tip of the finger, and the tip of the finger has a little circle on the end, so don't forget that. After you get all the parts done, you're going to want to assemble this and you're going to put it in the oven. So any of the parts that you need to bake at that time would be a perfect opportunity to do it. If you like my content, please like and subscribe. I would really appreciate it. Every comment, every favorite, every view just helps a whole bunch because I really love helping people do what they love and empowering them and showing them that they can do it. And I would do this for free if I could. Like, I love this so much, and I just hate the fact that I have to make money to live because I would do this for free. And I'm going to keep on doing it because I love it and I love showing people how to do it. It would just make it so much easier if I had a little bit of supplemental income from this. So don't forget, one hand's open, one hand's holding the microphone. And it's coming along really nice. There's those holes on the very tips of the fingers, and I love that little touch. I'm using acrylic paint for this sculpture, and then I'm covering it with the Varathane polyurethane. It's the glossy finish type. I found this was the best to use when you're using Sculpting polymer clay because a lot of finishes will become sticky, and I've never had an issue with this, so it's perfect. I went ahead and I sculpted her some eyelashes, and I baked them in the oven along with the hands, and I just used little tweezers and I used some super glue and I glued them on. Very easy. Here I am sculpting her pigtails, and I just kind of got the shape, overall shape, and then I'm going to cut them, put holes in them, and then I'm going to bake that in the oven. Once it's been baked, I'm going to paint it with the color combination that I showed earlier. So it's really coming together really well. I glued it on with hot glue, and these are individual wires that went into those holes, and I think it looks really good. Next, you're going to want to use a deep blue color. Just try to find a similar shade to Circus Baby. I made her a little fan in the front, and it's just a piece of cardboard, and I used a pin, just like, needles and pins and that kind of thing. I used that so it kind of secures it into place. I think it turned out really good. So here's the sculpture. What do you guys think? Let me know below. Would you have changed anything? Are you going to make it? Tell me what you want to see next. I love making Five Nights at Freddy's, and I want to hear what sculptures you would like to see next. I do plan on doing the Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach Ruin. I think that would be really cool. I want to thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you so much, guys. Bye.